Hello YouTube. This week I've got this massive key to the 2017 Ford Fusion Sport Edition. Let's take a look. So this is the 2017 Ford Fusion. This is a Sport Edition, which I think is the best value for money if you're looking for a sporty Fusion. As funny as that sounds, you can look at the titanium and it's the same price as this one, but this one you're going to get it's about 43,000 Canadian with all the fees before taxes. And this one you get a 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 with 325 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, which is crazy. And it's an all-wheel drive system in this one, and you get a 6-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. So it's pretty, sporty car, and it looks really aggressive. This is a family sedan, and the base model's like 22 or 24,000, and this one is tarted up basically. And it's pretty nice looking, especially in the lightning blue. I think it looks really good. It's got the dual exhaust, or if you want to call it a quad exhaust with dual tailpipes. And sport badging on the back. We'll pop the trunk here. It does have a backup camera. One thing I noticed about this is it kind of looks old school. In terms of the way the trunk works here, you've got these bars that kind of go in, and if you look under here, nothing's really painted, and it's got these little bars and the springs and stuff, and usually that's all kind of hidden now with the speakers. Everything's visible, so it's a little bit old school in that kind of sense, I think. The trunk is pretty narrow this way, height-wise. It does have a full-size spare in there, and this one came with some floor mats apparently. Oh yeah, that's right, it's got a winter floor mat on the one side, so that's the sport emblem floor mat that you get. It does have 60/40 seats, but you have to flip them from the side here. And there's your gray interior, which I'm not a huge fan of, but again, there you go. So you got your 60/40, and it's not flat, there is a hump here. So it is leather seating. There is lots of features in this. So it's leather seating with a suede insert, and and there's some cup holders there. The other thing you'll notice in the back of this Fusion is the airbag equipped seatbelt that Ford has. The connector is a little bit weird because it has to sense, I guess, that it's got electronics in there and it's got the airbag. But it's kind of cool, and it's a neat safety feature. Quite a bit of legroom. It is a mid-size sedan. You've got map pockets on either side, and you've got an AC outlet down here, as well as a 12-volt outlet. And this is kind of soft materials with nice, aluminum-y carbon kind of trim. I am not a huge fan of these gray seats, so I think black seats would look a lot better. It does have a sunroof, and if you look at that dash, it's pretty nice looking. They've upgraded with that Sony system, and now they no longer have the traditional shifter. They've got the rotary dial shifter, and they've replaced the low with the S for sport in the middle here on the Sport Edition. It's also got a electronic parking brake, couple cup holders, and parking and automatic parking and parking sensors. One thing Ford does as well is you've got these keypad. If you forget your key, you program in your favorite number, and you can get into the car that way. Once you hop inside, you're greeted with a Ford logo on the infotainment system here, and then this dash kind of lights up, and if you press the start button, that kind of comes to life. Okay, and I'm going to just turn off the fan on this thing. There we go. Actually, they didn't turn it off. That's interesting. There's the power button for that. So it does have, I actually kind of like this. It's got auto climate control and heated and cooled seats for both the passenger and driver, and it is dual zone climate control. And I like having all these kind of little round buttons. It looks nice and it works well. The infotainment system here, which is the Sony system, this works really well. This has been upgraded constantly. Ford keeps upgrading this system. So you can see your climate control in here. Navigation is a little bit slow. So under apps, you've got to connect your phone to get apps and that. But it does have, as I said, it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in there, and a bunch of other settings. And this is really kind of responsive. If you go to sound, you can adjust your treble and bass and different things like that. We'll go back here. I'm just going to show you these the lighting. So you can, comes up with this fancy screen. You can change the lighting. Oops. You can change the lighting here to different colors. So if you like blue, you can pick blue or red, and that changes the color of the. There you go. That changes the color of the cup holders, and as well as there's lighting under here. There's a little bit lighting accents everywhere. It kind of changes that. So you got start button up here. In here you've got your radio controls. So you've on your steering wheel, you've got the arrows on both sides with an OK button. So it makes it pretty intuitive. If you want to adjust your radio station up and down, and you can go out of this, you can go into navigation or phone. So here on the right hand side, you've got entertainment, navigation, and phone. And on the left hand side, you've got your car information. So you've got your trip and fuel economy, driver assist settings. And if you go into display mode, so go into display mode here, and you can change, there you go, tire pressure, speed, all-wheel drive, distance to empty, and your tach. And if you take away the tach, let's say you switch it over to trip, and you're looking at your trip here, and you hit the paddle shifters when it started, it'll actually switch over to the tach so that you know what's going on whenever you shift. On the steering wheel, like I just mentioned, we've got paddle shifters, and they're small. You got your up on the right and down on the left, but they're right at hand. Volume control down here, and your voice controls for the navigation and for your phone and that. And on the left, you've got cruise control, resume, set, distance. So this does have radar cruise, and you can set the distance away, following distance. It also has lane departure warning on the stalk here on this side, and you turn that off and on with this button here on your signal light stalk. There's a button for the trunk release, and you've got automatic headlights. This also has automatic brights, which is really cool. If you're driving at night in the dark out in the country, the brights will just turn on. And if as a car approaches, or you approach a corner and slow down and things like that, the brights will turn off. So they're constantly going on and off. It's a good safety feature. Over here on the console, you've got a nice deep pocket here, and a bigger area for some stuff in your plug for your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, as well as a 12 volt plug there. And as I mentioned, you got cup holders, your parking, and a dual tray armrest here. 1, 2. There's the second one, and it's fairly deep. And again, another USB, which you can use. You can put your phone in here, and you've got another 12 volt. So there's ample charging locations in this car. Now up here, you've got sunglasses holder, or glasses holder, as you want to call it. This does feel kind of cheap. It kind of moves around a bit. But it doesn't rattle or anything like that, so that's a good sign. And this car has 18,000 kilometers on it, so it's not brand new. Home link on the sun visors. Another cool thing about sun visors from Ford is you can do this with them, so you can pull them out. Not all the car manufacturers do that, but that is kind of cool. You've got some lights here. And, of course, your sunroof controls as well. One touch open. And a one touch close. I'm going to close that because there's bugs and they keep coming in. This trim is really cool, nice. I think it's the same trim that's in the back. It's kind of like a carbon fiber inlay, plastic. And it's got aluminum kind of accents to it and the door handles and that. And you've got your speakers there. This is all rubbery. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. This is rubbery too. Try to get it close to it. You see how it squishes in. So this is all kind of nice feeling. The center here actually feels really nicely put together. I had the Escape a couple weeks ago, and I found it was kind of cheap. So this feels a little bit put together, a little bit better put together than the Escape. I'm just going to start it up. As I said, it is a 2.7 liter V6, which is a small V6, but twin turbo, 325 horsepower, 380 foot-pounds of torque, tons of power. So you've got the dial, and you just flick it, and you can end up in drive. Flick it to park, which is nice, and you've got the sport mode as well, so you got to be in drive for the sport mode. Sport mode, and as I mentioned, if you hit the paddles, it just flicks up into the RPM gauge, the tach over there, and it can only let me go to second from start, but there you go. So, and it also has the display here of what gear you're in. So if you press this, just press the button, that'll switch back to drive. Press the button and back to sport. Now the sports mode is supposed to it's supposed to change the following things. It's supposed to tighten up the steering, change the dampening of the shocks. It's supposed to adjust the throttle response, and it is supposed to change the audio tune of the engine. So Ford has this system that pipes engine sounds into the cabin, and it's supposed to make it more throaty and more loud, I guess. So it's supposed to do all these things. I've tried switching between sport and drive and keep switching back and forth. Also, if you're in sport mode, the paddles, they're instant. They're more responsive, as well as the transmission shifts later if you leave it in drive, like if you don't use the paddles. So it's supposed to do all these things, and I've taken it for a drive, and I've kept switching back and forth on my drive, and maybe it's changing things. I mean, obviously Ford's not giving me a fake sports button, so it's obviously doing something, and it's doing what they say it's doing, but it's very hard to tell what it's doing. So that said, let's take it for a drive in sport mode. As a quick acceleration run, it does sound good. It gives you that nice V6 snarl. It doesn't feel like 325 horsepower, 380 pound-feet of torque. Really doesn't feel like that. Now, that said, that's numbers with 93 octane. And I picked up this car, and I don't know what fuel the last journalist put in it. Like, maybe they put 87 octane in it, and it's reducing timing, it's pulling timing, and it's just not giving that much power. Anyways, that said, it's still, still pretty quick, and it's quiet, and it rides really, really well. Actually, again, so we're pretty late into summer now, and I still have winter tires on this car, which is kind of annoying because I was thinking, geez, maybe I could take this on the track for a couple laps, but that's not going to happen, not with winter tires. Anyways, it does have winter tires, but it's still pretty darn quiet. Ford has done a really good job of quieting down their vehicles in terms of road noise, wind noise, and that, and which makes it enjoyable on long trips. The seats are pretty comfortable. Unlike the Escape, where I thought the seats were horrible, these seats really hold you in and they're comfortable. The inserts in the middle of the seats, the suede inserts, really hold you in and you kind of stick to the seat. Now, fuel economy, not so great. The same as that Escape I drove. I'm averaging 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is almost as much as the Escape with the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo in a smaller vehicle. So, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that these turbos are super efficient. At least the Ford's systems don't seem to be super efficient. The CR-V I had was super efficient, but then, of course, it was also equipped with a CVT transmission, and it was kind of boring to drive. So there you have it. If you got power, you're going to use it, and then you're not going to get great fuel economy. Well, there it is, the 2017 Ford Fusion Sport Edition. It's a pretty cool looking car, I think, actually. For a family sedan, it's actually pretty cool looking, sleek looking. It handles really well. It's pretty darn quick. The only thing I have against it, I guess, is the $43,000 price tag. It is a little bit high for a Fusion, I think. But there are discounts available, and I've seen some listed for around $35,000. So there you have it. If you can find one for $35,000, an even better deal. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.